I am Amelia Miller, 35, an architect. For 10 years I believed my father's death was an accident until I discovered it had been an orchestrated performance. Aunt Helen didn't just inherit the estate. She erected a wall of silence to hide every secret and dark intention. As an architect, I see the truth through the gaps. Hidden rooms, false walls, the signs everyone else missed. Every detail exposes a lie, each piece snapping into place to reveal a conspiracy I once took for granted. Sweet on the outside, deceitful within, that is their portrait. I have faced betrayal and schemes more intricate than I ever imagined. But now it's different. I am no longer a victim. I will demand justice for my father, tear down the facade Aunt Helen so carefully built. I will take back my life and lay the whole truth bare. I stepped out of the cab onto the familiar street and immediately felt the strange mix of comfort and unease. New York never slept, and yet this block seemed to exist outside of time. The old building loomed at the corner, its bricks weathered but proud, windows staring back at me like eyes that remembered every misstep of my childhood. I had walked past it countless times as a child, imagining secret worlds behind its doors. But now, as a 35-year-old architect, I saw it differently, full of potential, full of secrets. Marcus arrived shortly after, jogging up the sidewalk with his usual energy. He was carrying his camera bag, tools slung over one shoulder. "You're early," he said, his voice casual but carrying that hint of concern I had come to know well. I didn't think anyone would get excited about old bricks and dust like this. I gave him a small smile, letting the memories roll through me. I didn't expect to feel this way either. It's weird seeing it again. Part of me wants to run straight past, and the other part wants to peel every layer off and see what's hiding underneath. Ellie, the project manager, appeared next, clipboard in hand. Her expression was both professional and uneasy. "Amelia, this building has a lot of history. Some of it isn't pretty. People talk, rumors of deaths, missing people, things like that." I laughed softly, brushing off her comment, but my stomach tightened. Rumors and history go hand in hand. I've dealt with worse. Besides, if we're not afraid of ghosts, we're not doing our job properly. We moved inside together. The air was thick with dust, sunlight slanting through grimy windows. Each step made the floorboards groan, echoing through the empty hallways. I traced my fingers along the walls, remembering scraped knees, whispered secrets, and my father's laughter that once filled these rooms. The nostalgia was painful, sweet, and heavy all at once. Marcus caught my gaze. "You okay?" he asked. "You're acting different." I shook my head, forcing a small laugh. "Just remembering. I used to come here a lot when no one else was around. I felt like the building had its own heartbeat." As we walked deeper, I noticed a door slightly ajar, paint flaking, hinges rusted. Something about it drew me. I reached for the handle and it gave a reluctant creak. Inside, the room was small, but the walls were lined with faded photographs, blueprints, and old letters. My heart caught in my throat. Ellie's voice was quiet behind me. "Those pictures are from decades ago. That woman there." "Is Helen your aunt?" I felt a chill. Helen, always spoken of as a tragic figure in family stories, was here in these silent photographs, alive in a way I had never imagined. My father stood beside her in one photo, smiling, oblivious to whatever storm was coming. The realization that this room, this building, might hold pieces of the past I never knew began to settle in my chest. Marcus leaned in. "Amelia, if you're planning on digging into family history, I'm here. We'll face whatever this building is hiding together." I nodded, trying to steady my racing thoughts. "I have to do this, Marcus. I need to understand not just the building but my family, all the secrets no one ever spoke about." Hours passed as we surveyed every corner, noting weak floors, hidden nooks, and unusual design patterns. Every blueprint I unfolded felt like a puzzle, every corner a piece of the past waiting to speak. Detective Lawson was scheduled to meet us later, someone I had contacted discreetly after finding his old case files on my father's mysterious death. I knew he held pieces of the puzzle no one in the family would admit to. Just thinking about him stepping into this building, surrounded by dust and shadows, made my stomach knot with anticipation and fear. By evening, the sunlight had faded, and the building seemed to breathe around me. I could almost hear voices from decades past, echoing through the hallways, teasing me with their secrets. And in the far corner, an old blueprint stuck to the wall caught my eye. It wasn't just a layout of rooms, it was a map, a code, a story waiting for someone like me to read it. Ellie whispered, "Be careful, Amelia. Some doors, once opened, can't be closed again." I smiled faintly but didn't answer. My hand lingered over the blueprint, and I knew that opening this door, exploring this building, meant stepping fully into my past, into truths about my family, my aunt, and my father that I had avoided for 35 years. I could feel the weight of history pressing down on me, yet there was something liberating in that weight. The building wasn't just brick and mortar. It was a keeper of stories, some beautiful, some horrific. And for the first time in years, I felt ready to listen. As night fell, I stood in the center of the building, alone for a moment. The city outside was alive with lights and sounds, but inside the air was still and expectant. I whispered to myself, barely audible, "I'm ready, show me the truth." The next morning, I returned to the building before anyone else. The streets were waking up, the city stirring around me, but inside, the building was silent, waiting. I pushed open the heavy front door, the sound echoing down the hallways. My thoughts were a jumble, memories of childhood, questions about my father, and the unsettling realization that my Aunt Helen's life might have been far more complicated than anyone had ever admitted. Marcus arrived shortly after, camera in hand, grinning as usual. "You really couldn't wait until the project officially started, could you?" he teased. I smiled faintly. I needed to see it again, alone if possible, just me and the ghosts. Ellie caught up with us a few minutes later, her clipboard tucked under her arm. "Amelia, we've scheduled a meeting with Detective Lawson. He has documents from your father's case, and well, he thinks you should see them." My stomach nodded. "Documents?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm not sure I'm ready." Marcus put a hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to be ready, you just have to face it." A few hours later, Detective Lawson arrived. He was older than I expected, his suit slightly rumpled, eyes sharp, scanning the building with a look that suggested he had seen it all before. He shook my hand firmly. "Amelia Miller," he said, his voice low but steady. "You've stepped into a story that's been buried for decades. What you find here could change everything you thought you knew about your family." I swallowed hard. "I want to know the truth, Detective, about my father, about Aunt Helen, about this building, everything." He nodded. "Good. Then let's start with what's missing. Your father's death was ruled accidental at the time, but some files were never examined properly. Helen had access to the property, the finances, and the building, and your grandfather," his voice trailed off as he looked around. "He had influence over everything. No one dared question him." I felt a chill. My grandfather was a man whose shadow had always loomed over our family. Powerful, feared, untouchable. And now I was learning he might have played a role in hiding something much darker than anyone had admitted. While Lawson laid out the old case files on the dining room table, I examined the blueprints I had found the night before. Certain patterns began to emerge: hidden doors, false walls, unusual staircases. The more I looked, the more I realized the building itself was a maze of secrets. Marcus leaned over my shoulder, pointing to a small hatch in the corner of one of the rooms. "Did you see this?" I shook my head. "No, it wasn't on the original blueprint." Ellie frowned. "Buildings like this often have hidden spaces. Sometimes they're just for maintenance, sometimes not." I felt a pang of excitement mixed with fear. Hidden spaces meant hidden histories, and hidden histories meant truths about my family that I wasn't ready to confront. Later that afternoon, Thomas arrived. He was my father's oldest friend, a quiet man with soft eyes and a hesitant smile. "Amelia," he said, his voice almost a whisper. I wasn't sure if I should come. Helen, she's always been complicated. And your grandfather," his words faltered, and I sensed the weight of secrets he carried. "Tell me everything, Thomas," I urged gently. "I can handle it." He hesitated, then nodded. "Helen, she wasn't just your aunt. She was cunning, ambitious. She wanted control over everything: your father's business, the building, the family estate. And your grandfather, he enabled her. Protected her, kept the rest of us in the dark. I didn't know how far it went until it was too late." I felt my heart tighten. My family, the people I had trusted, the people who had shaped my life, they had all played parts in a story that was darker than I had imagined. Julia, my old neighbor, arrived late that day. Her eyes were sharp, her demeanor protective. "Amelia," she said quietly, "I always knew you'd come back. That building, it has its own way of telling the truth." Helen built it like a puzzle. She hid things she didn't want anyone to see, but she left clues. She thought she could control the story forever, but some things cannot be hidden. I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. The building was more than brick and mortar. It was a message, a challenge, a trap, and I was determined to solve it. That evening, I sat alone in the building, tracing my fingers over the walls, the floors, the hidden hatch Marcus had discovered. I whispered to myself, "Every corner of this place is a story waiting to be told, and I'm going to tell it even if it hurts." As night fell, the city lights flickered through the broken windows, and the shadows stretched across the floors like tendrils reaching into the past. I knew that tomorrow, we would begin exploring the hidden rooms more thoroughly, following the clues Helen had left behind, uncovering truths about my aunt, my grandfather, and my father. And as I closed my eyes that night, I felt a strange mixture of dread and determination. The building was alive, the past was speaking, and I was ready to listen. I crouched in front of the small hatch Marcus had found, prying it open with all the strength I had. The staircase beyond spiraled down into darkness, narrow and unwelcoming. Marcus pointed his flashlight down. Looks like it leads somewhere important. Are you going first? Yes, I said, gripping the railing tightly. This is our only lead. We descended and entered a hidden room filled with stacked boxes, dusty ledgers, and scattered letters. I immediately spotted a small locked chest tucked in a corner. This has to be it, I whispered, kneeling to examine the lock. The key wasn't anywhere obvious, so I tried my father's old tools, and after a few tense minutes, the lock clicked open. Inside were letters from my father addressed to Helen, pleading for answers about irregular finances and mysterious withdrawals. I flipped through them quickly, then paused at a single envelope marked with my aunt's handwriting. The contents revealed not only financial manipulation, but threats and coercion. Helen had been maneuvering to take control of my father's assets, quietly undermining him for years. Marcus leaned over my shoulder. Amelia, this is proof. Everything your father feared. Ellie, who had been examining the ledgers, spoke cautiously. And look at this. She pointed to a ledger that listed payments to unnamed individuals and mysterious property transfers. Someone was moving money and assets in secret. Helen had full control. I noticed a blueprint pinned to the wall, partially hidden under dust and cobwebs. Symbols marked sections of the building that weren't on any official plan: false walls, hidden staircases, small chambers. She built this like a maze, I muttered, tracing a finger along the lines. Every secret room, every hidden passage, all designed to hide something or someone. Marcus studied the blueprint. There's a chamber here, right under the main office. Could be where she kept important documents, maybe even evidence we don't know about yet. We moved carefully toward the location. The floorboards creaked under our weight, but nothing collapsed. I pulled at a false panel on the wall. Behind it, a narrow corridor opened into another hidden room. Inside, a desk held more letters, diaries, and a few old photographs. I immediately recognized my father in several of them, looking concerned, almost pleading, and in others, Helen appeared smiling, always in control. Ellie pointed at a stack of papers. Amelia, these are contracts, old wills, property transfers. Look at the dates. They coincide with your father's business transactions. Someone manipulated the system to erase his influence. I felt a knot tighten in my chest but forced myself to focus. It's all here. Every move, every decision, every deception. Helen wasn't the victim. She orchestrated this. Marcus held up a small box. Amelia, this one's sealed with wax. Could be another diary or evidence. I broke the seal carefully. Inside were notes detailing the construction of escape routes, hidden rooms, and even instructions for covering tracks in case anyone investigated. Helen had meticulously built the building not just to house people, but to hide her actions and protect herself. Ellie frowned. She planned everything. Every corridor, every false door, she thought she could stay untouchable. I pulled out one last item, a folder labeled with my grandfather's initials. Inside were documents showing he had authorized some of Helen's actions, using his influence to prevent scrutiny. My stomach turned. It's him, I whispered. He protected her, guided her. This wasn't just Helen's plan, it was a family conspiracy. Marcus said quietly, we have everything we need. This is enough to start piecing the truth together. We just have to connect the dots carefully. I nodded, scanning the room one last time. Every document, every blueprint, every hidden passage confirmed what I had suspected. Helen manipulated, schemed, and hid evidence of her crimes inside the very building she had designed. My grandfather enabled her. The answers were here. We just had to follow the path she had left behind. Before we left, I carefully photographed every document, blueprint, and note. Marcus recorded everything on video. Ellie cataloged the ledgers and letters. By the time we emerged from the hidden rooms, we had gathered undeniable proof of financial manipulation, strategic hiding of evidence, and deliberate construction of secret spaces designed to obscure Helen's actions. This building, I said as we stood in the hallway, is a confession. Every wall, every floor, every secret chamber, she built this to protect herself and hide the truth. But we found it all. Marcus smiled grimly. And now no one can hide it. Ellie nodded. It's all here, the story, the proof, the path forward. I looked around the dusty hallway, the weight of decades of secrets pressing against us. But for the first time, I felt like we had the power to expose the truth. The maze was solved, the hidden rooms discovered, and the evidence in our hands. Helen's carefully constructed fortress of lies was finally vulnerable. I spread out the documents, blueprints, and diaries we had gathered across the dusty floor of the hidden room. Marcus and Ellie watched silently, knowing this was the moment where pieces of the puzzle would start to fit together. "Amelia," Marcus said cautiously, "you're going to see things you may not like. Are you ready?" I nodded, though my hands trembled slightly. "I have to be ready. I need to know everything." I started with the letters from my father. He wrote repeatedly about Helen's manipulations, about financial discrepancies, and about strange actions by my grandfather. There were mentions of him trying to confront my grandfather, warnings that Helen was ambitious beyond reason. Ellie pointed to a folded blueprint hidden under the diary. "Look at this section," she said. "It's different from the others. See these symbols and markings. Those aren't just rooms, they're escape routes, secret compartments, maybe even traps. Whoever designed this had control over the entire building." I traced my finger along the lines. Helen built this place with full awareness of what she was doing, and my grandfather, he knew. Marcus frowned. "How do you know?" I pulled out a folder stamped with my grandfather's initials. It contained approvals, letters, and memos authorizing Helen's actions and redirecting investigations. "He facilitated it," I said. "Didn't just protect her. He made sure no one could challenge her. He created the illusion of order while everything was falling apart." Ellie's eyes widened. "So all those years of the family pretending Helen was the victim, it was orchestrated." I nodded. "Exactly. And now I see it, the construction of the building, the hidden rooms, the false walls. Helen designed them to hide evidence. And my grandfather made sure no one would find it. Every generation played a role in keeping the truth buried." Marcus leaned closer, examining a stack of letters. "These mentions of people disappearing, this is worse than just property and money." I swallowed hard, flipping through the diary. "Yes, and one of those disappearances, my father's death. Helen manipulated everything to cover it up, and my grandfather's influence ensured no one investigated properly. They thought they could control the story forever, but they didn't count on me." Ellie stepped closer, voice low. "Amelia, if you're going to confront Helen, you need a plan. She's not just a manipulator, she's a survivor. And your grandfather, he may still have influence in this city." I looked up at her, determination settling in. "I have a plan. First, I need to understand every passage, every hidden room. Then I'll find direct evidence linking Helen to my father's death. And finally, we expose them both. The building will tell the story no one could hide." Marcus nodded. "You're right. The building holds the proof. It's all here if we follow it carefully." We continued our investigation through the hidden corridors, examining rooms that hadn't been touched in decades. In one chamber, I found old ledgers showing Helen's manipulations over time, and in another, letters from my grandfather instructing lawyers to ignore certain transactions and file certain reports as lost. The more I pieced together, the more apparent it became. This was not random greed or ambition, it was a calculated multi-generational conspiracy. I pulled out a small journal from Helen's hidden office. Flipping through it, I found passages detailing strategies to isolate my father, control his decisions, and eventually remove him from the equation entirely. My fingers trembled as I read the words she had written decades ago. Marcus placed a hand on my shoulder. "Amelia, this is it. This is what you've been looking for, the truth." I looked at him, voice firm. "Yes, this is the truth. Helen is not the victim. She orchestrated everything, and my grandfather, he enabled her. But we're going to make sure it comes out. The building, it will tell the story," Ellie added, "and once it's out, the city will know. No one can cover this up anymore." I gathered all the documents and letters, carefully photographing and cataloging them. Every hidden room, every secret passage, every document confirmed what I had feared and what I had suspected. Helen and my grandfather had controlled the narrative for decades, but now, with evidence in hand and the building revealing its secrets, justice could finally catch up. Standing in the middle of the hidden room, I whispered to myself, "The past isn't going to define me anymore. I will uncover everything, and finally, the truth will be free." I had been preparing for this moment for weeks, gathering every document, blueprint, and hidden note we had discovered in the building. Today, I would confront Helen. I knew she was still in the city, using her influence to stay untouchable, but I had a plan. I wasn't going in blind. Marcus and Ellie came with me as I approached her apartment. The doorman barely looked at us, and within minutes we were inside. Helen was waiting, seated in a high-backed chair, her posture calm, her expression unreadable. She looked exactly the way she always had in family photographs, controlled, cold, deliberate. "Amelia," she said, her voice smooth, almost mocking, "I wondered when you'd finally come back. You always had a curiosity about old buildings, didn't you?" I took a deep breath. "Helen, I know what you did. I know about the building, the hidden rooms, the letters, the blueprints. I know what happened to my father." Her smile didn't falter. "Is that so? And what exactly do you think happened?" I pulled out the diary and documents, laying them on the table between us. "You manipulated every aspect of his life. You moved money, controlled property, hid evidence, and ultimately you orchestrated his death. And you thought your father's influence, our grandfather, would protect you. But I have proof, all of it." Helen leaned back, unbothered. "You've always been clever, Amelia. But do you really think evidence buried for decades matters now? You're still just a child playing detective." I met her gaze, voice steady. "I'm not a child, and I'm not playing. Every hidden corridor, every secret room, every letter you wrote, it tells your story. You can't hide anymore." Marcus stepped forward, holding up photographs of the secret rooms, the ledgers, and the letters. "We have everything documented. Your manipulation, your planning, all of it." Helen's eyes narrowed slightly. "And what makes you think the authorities will believe a grown woman's claims about family history and old buildings?" I opened the diary to the pages where she had written detailed plans to isolate my father and control his business. "Because you wrote it down yourself. Every plan, every threat, every hidden escape route. You left a map of your own crimes, and now everyone will see it." Ellie added, "We've connected the dots. The building, your grandfather's letters, the secret rooms, it all points to you. The city will know the truth." Helen's smile disappeared, replaced by a flash of something sharper: anger, fear, calculation. "You think you've won?" she asked softly. "You don't understand. Power protects people. Influence keeps them safe. Your evidence, it's only paper. It won't stop me." I leaned forward. "It's not just paper, it's your story. The truth always finds a way out, and this building proves it. Every wall, every hidden room, every secret you left behind, it's all here. And now you have no choice but to answer for what you did." Helen's hands twitched slightly, a subtle sign of her unraveling composure. "You may have found the rooms, the letters, the ledgers, but do you really think justice will come for me? For him?" I swallowed the knot in my throat, my voice calm but firm. "Yes, because we have witnesses, documentation, and physical evidence. The city, the authorities, they can't ignore what's been hidden for decades. You manipulated generations, Helen. It ends now." She leaned back, the fight leaving her posture, replaced by a cold resignation. You've read everything. You've seen what I've done. And yet you still accuse me." "Yes," I said, voice unwavering, "because hiding the truth doesn't change it. You killed my father. You thought no one would ever find out, but I did, and I will make sure everyone knows." Marcus, Ellie, and I left the apartment with copies of all the documents. Helen remained seated, staring after us, silent. Outside, the city buzzed obliviously, but for me, a chapter had closed. We had confronted her, exposed her manipulations, and gathered undeniable proof linking her to my father's death and decades of deception. I looked at Marcus and Ellie. "It's not over yet. There's still my grandfather to address. But Helen, she can't hide anymore. Not from the truth and not from justice." Ellie nodded. "And the building, it's done its job. It held everything she thought she could hide forever." Marcus smiled faintly. "You faced her head-on. That's more than most people could do. Now we follow through with the proof." I walked back into the building, touching the walls and hidden doors I had explored for months. Each one had guided me here. Each one had helped me gather the evidence. The past had tried to cage me, but now it was revealing itself, and the path to justice was finally clear. I returned to the building with Marcus and Ellie, determined to follow every hidden corridor, check every false wall, and examine every passage Helen might have used to conceal her secrets. This was the final stage of our investigation, the place where the truth about my grandfather's role would finally come to light. Marcus shone his flashlight on a section of the wall I hadn't explored before. "Amelia, this panel looks different. Thicker, reinforced, could be a safe room or a secret office." I pressed my hand against it and felt the subtle outline of a door. "Let's see what's behind it." I pulled at the edge and a soft click echoed through the hallway. The panel swung open, revealing a narrow staircase leading downward. Dust swirled in the air as we descended. At the bottom was a hidden office. Filing cabinets lined the walls, overflowing with folders, letters, and ledgers. In the center, a large desk held several envelopes addressed in my grandfather's hand. I opened the first one and froze. Inside were detailed instructions to lawyers, bankers, and city officials, plans to redirect investigations, cover up financial discrepancies, and protect Helen from scrutiny. Ellie leaned closer, voice tense. He didn't just know about Helen's schemes, he orchestrated them. Every document points to him controlling the narrative from behind the scenes. Marcus picked up a stack of old contracts. This is huge. All of these transfers, these approvals. They were designed to make Helen untouchable and to erase your father's influence completely. I flipped through more papers, finding notes detailing surveillance on my father, letters instructing intermediaries to mislead investigators, and maps of the building with annotations marking secret evidence storage locations. He wasn't just complicit, he was the mastermind protecting her while eliminating my father. Ellie whispered, "So your grandfather, he's the one who pulled all the strings." I nodded grimly. Yes, Helen was the face, but he controlled the infrastructure. Every hidden room, every false wall, every secret path we've uncovered, he knew about it and approved it. Marcus looked at me, flashlight in hand. "Amelia, what's the plan? How do we use this?" I took a deep breath. "We document everything. Photographs, videos, copies of every letter, ledger, and blueprint. We map the building entirely, showing every hidden space and linking it to the evidence. Once we have it organized, we can present it to the authorities. Helen and my grandfather won't be able to manipulate it this time." Ellie added, "And the building itself, it's proof. It's the physical representation of their conspiracy." We spent hours in that hidden office, cataloging evidence, photographing documents, and mapping the secret passages. Each new folder revealed more about the lengths my grandfather and Helen went to cover their tracks. Some letters detailed threats to anyone who asked questions, others described financial manipulations to erase my father's influence. The full scope of the conspiracy was staggering. At one point, I discovered a set of coded notes in my grandfather's handwriting. Ellie helped me decipher them. They referenced hidden safes in other parts of the building, containing financial records and personal correspondence confirming Helen's direct involvement in my father's death. "This is it," I said, heart pounding. "The final piece of proof. Everything is here, every move, every plan, every secret." Marcus put a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "You did it, Amelia. You've uncovered everything. Now there's no question about the truth." I looked around the hidden office one last time. The walls, floors, and secret compartments had guided me here. The building had revealed the entire conspiracy, Helen's manipulations, my grandfather's orchestration, and my father's silent story. Ellie nodded. "Once this goes public, there's no way they can deny it. The city will know what really happened." I felt a mixture of relief and resolve. This isn't just about justice for my father. It's about breaking the cycle of secrecy and control that haunted our family for decades. And finally, I'm free to move forward without their shadows over me. Marcus smiled faintly. "Then let's make sure the world sees it. We've got the proof, we've got the story. Nothing can stop it now." I gathered the final documents, securing every piece of evidence. The hidden office had given me everything I needed to expose Helen and my grandfather. The building had served its purpose, revealing the truth that had been buried for generations. And now, armed with undeniable evidence, I was ready to end the cycle and bring justice to the family they had tried to destroy. I had everything organized, the documents, ledgers, photographs, and blueprints meticulously cataloged. Marcus and Ellie stood beside me, helping prepare copies for the authorities and media. The moment had come to make the conspiracy public. I took a deep breath. We need to present this carefully. Every detail, every hidden room, every document has to tell the story clearly. No gaps, no mistakes. Ellie nodded. "Agreed. This isn't just evidence. It's the narrative that proves Helen and your grandfather orchestrated everything. If we do this right, there's no way they can deny it." Marcus adjusted the camera setup. "We're live recording the walkthrough of the building. Every hidden space, every document, every blueprint. Nothing will be left to chance." I started the presentation, walking through the building with the camera following me. I explained the hidden hatches, secret corridors, and rooms Helen had built to conceal evidence. "This isn't just a building," I said, voice steady. "It's a map of decades of deception, a testament to manipulation and control that span generations." Marcus filmed as I pulled out the letters from my father to Helen, highlighting warnings he had written and pleas for accountability. Ellie held up the blueprints and diagrams that detailed hidden, escape routes and compartments. "Here," I said, pointing to one corridor. This secret passage was used to hide correspondence, financial records, and items that prove Helen orchestrated my father's death and manipulated property and business interests. Ellie added, "And here, these documents show my grandfather's involvement. His instructions, approvals, and influence ensured that no investigation could reach Helen, allowing her to act without consequences. I paused and looked directly into the camera. Helen wasn't the victim everyone thought she was. She planned, schemed, and executed a conspiracy that cost my father his life and manipulated an entire family. My grandfather enabled it all, using his power and influence to protect her while silencing anyone who questioned it. Marcus captured every moment, documenting the physical spaces, the evidence, and my narration. "This is overwhelming," he muttered. "The scale of it's incredible that you uncovered all of this." I ignored the shiver down my spine, focusing on the story. The building itself held the truth. Every wall, every hidden room, every secret compartment was part of Helen's plan to erase history and hide crimes. But history cannot be erased. Today, the truth comes out. Ellie handed me a folder with the final copies of letters, diaries, and ledgers. "Everything is here. The authorities will see it. Media, legal teams, all of it. No one can cover this up now." I exhaled, the weight of months of investigation pressing on me. It's not just about justice for my father. It's about breaking a cycle of secrecy and control that spanned generations. This is about truth, transparency, and accountability. Marcus pointed to the camera. "You need to say it yourself, Amelia. Speak directly to the public. Tell them everything." I looked into the lens. To anyone listening or watching, this story has been hidden for decades. My Aunt Helen and my grandfather manipulated, controlled, and silenced people to protect themselves. My father was a victim of this conspiracy. The evidence we have is undeniable. The building itself contains every secret they tried to hide. Today, the truth will be known. Justice is long overdue. Ellie stepped in. And the public will see the proof, the documents, the rooms, the letters. They will see everything we have uncovered. There is no escape now. I turned and walked toward one of the hidden rooms, opening it fully to show the blueprints, ledgers, and letters arranged neatly. Every corner of this building tells the story. Every hidden space, every document, every secret passage is evidence of a conspiracy that has haunted my family for decades. Today, Helen and my grandfather cannot hide behind lies or influence. The truth is here, and it cannot be ignored. Marcus captured the final shots, documenting my walkthrough, the secret rooms, and the evidence. Ellie ensured that everything was recorded, cataloged, and ready to present to the authorities and media. I felt a mix of relief and determination. We've done it. The evidence is undeniable. Now it's out of our hands. Justice will follow, and the truth will finally be revealed to everyone. Standing in the building, surrounded by the spaces that had once hidden decades of lies, I whispered to myself, "The past cannot control me anymore. The cycle is broken. The truth is free." I had saved the most important confrontation for last. My grandfather had always been untouchable, a man whose influence had cast a shadow over our family and the city for decades. But now I had everything: the documents, ledgers, blueprints, letters, and the hidden rooms that told the full story. Today it ended. We entered his study. The room smelled of old leather and polished wood. He was seated behind his massive desk, hands folded, expression calm but sharp. "Amelia," he said, voice steady, almost amused. "I hear you've been busy in the old building." I set the folder of evidence on the desk. "Grandfather, it's over. I have everything. The letters, the ledgers, the hidden rooms. Every secret you tried to protect, every manipulation, every attempt to erase my father's influence. It's all documented." He leaned back, steepling his fingers. "And what do you think you can do with that? You're clever, Amelia, but power isn't so easily undone." I opened the first folder, sliding out letters from my father to Helen, letters my grandfather had intercepted and redirected. "You orchestrated it all. Every step Helen took, every manipulation, every cover-up, it went through you. You protected her while silencing my father. Do you deny it?" His expression didn't change. "I protected the family. I ensured stability. Helen's actions, she was ambitious, yes, but you overstate your father's role in this story." I picked up the blueprints and spread them on his desk. "These rooms, these hidden corridors, these compartments, they were approved and designed with your knowledge. You created the infrastructure that allowed her to manipulate, hide evidence, and ultimately cause my father's death. You knew everything." He shifted slightly, a flicker of unease passing across his face. I didn't expect you to uncover all of this, but proof is different from truth. Documents can be forged, interpretations twisted." I pulled out Helen's diary, opening to pages describing how she executed the plan with my grandfather's support, including letters directing lawyers, bankers, and city officials to hide or misreport evidence. "These aren't interpretations. These are your instructions, your approvals, your plans. You enabled her, controlled investigations, and silenced anyone who questioned her. The building itself, every hidden room, is proof of your orchestration. He finally leaned forward, voice lower, controlled but strained. Amelia, you've studied this building for months. You've documented every room, every passage, but even so, I never imagined you would use it against me. You've become very clever. I looked him in the eye. Clever enough to bring the truth to light. This building, these documents, these blueprints, they leave no room for denial. Helen is exposed, and so are you. You tried to protect her by controlling everyone and everything, but the evidence doesn't lie. You cannot escape it. Ellie stepped forward. Grandfather, we've recorded everything. The hidden rooms, the documents, the blueprints, the authorities will see it all. The city will see it all. You can't hide anymore. Marcus added. Amelia found it all. You thought decades of influence could erase the past. It won't. The building proves the conspiracy from start to finish. He exhaled slowly, a mix of resignation and acknowledgement crossing his face. So, you've uncovered the entire story. Helen, my actions, I can't deny what you've found. You've shown me that the past I thought I controlled is no longer mine to protect. I nodded. Exactly, it ends now. You protected her, but the truth cannot be hidden any longer. My father's story will be told and justice will be served. He leaned back, silent for a long moment, then finally spoke in a low, measured voice. You've proven yourself. I underestimated you. The evidence, it is undeniable. You've broken the cycle. I felt a weight lift. Months of investigation, exploration of hidden rooms, piecing together letters, diaries, and blueprints, all of it had led to this moment. It's not just about exposing the past, I said. It's about ending its control over the present and the future. That's why I had to do this, for my father, for myself, for anyone caught in the shadows of secrecy. He remained quiet, finally nodding. Then you have succeeded. The truth is yours to tell. I accept it. Ellie and Marcus exchanged glances. The confrontation had ended, but the evidence, the building, and the story would now speak for itself. The walls that had once hidden decades of deception had guided me to the final truth. The cycle was broken, and the past could no longer hold power over me. I looked around the study, the same room where decisions had been made that affected generations. It's over, I whispered. The truth is free, justice will follow, and finally I can move forward. We organized everything, the documents, diaries, ledgers, blueprints, and video recordings of the hidden rooms, into a comprehensive presentation. Today, it would all go public. I knew the city needed to see the full story, Helen's manipulations, my grandfather's orchestration, and the decades-long conspiracy that had cost my father his life. Marcus and Ellie were ready, cameras set up, evidence cataloged. I took a deep breath. This is it. We walked them through every secret room, every document, every blueprint. Nothing hidden, nothing left to chance. Ellie nodded. The authorities and the media are waiting. Every detail matters. Make them see what the building reveals. We began the walkthrough, live streaming to the authorities, lawyers, and media representatives. I led them through the first hidden hatch, explaining its purpose. This room, I said, pointing to letters and ledgers, holds correspondence showing Helen manipulated finances, isolated my father, and covered her tracks. Every transaction and every hidden document proves her orchestration. Marcus filmed as I opened the hidden office where my grandfather's approvals were documented. Here, I said, are letters, memos, and plans showing my grandfather actively enabled Helen, redirecting investigations, and silencing anyone who questioned her. He protected her and allowed the conspiracy to continue for decades. One of the journalists leaned closer, astonished. Are you saying this entire family, this building, was used to hide crimes? I nodded. Yes, the building itself is evidence. Every false wall, every secret corridor, every hidden room, it was deliberately constructed to conceal the truth. Helen and my grandfather thought no one would ever discover it, but the truth has a way of coming out. Ellie displayed the blueprints, pointing out secret passages and hidden compartments. These designs were meant to protect and hide their actions. Every space tells a story, and today we are telling it all. I walked to one of the concealed rooms, opening it fully. This is where the most critical documents were stored. Diaries, ledgers, correspondence, all proving Helen's direct involvement in my father's death and financial manipulation. The evidence leaves no room for denial. A lawyer spoke up, reviewing the materials. This is overwhelming. The documentation, the physical evidence, the detailed blueprints, it's undeniable. We can file charges based on this alone. I felt a sense of relief. It's not just about justice for my father, I said firmly. It's about ending decades of secrecy, deception, and control. The cycle is broken, and the truth can finally be known by everyone. Marcus captured my final walkthrough, showing every hidden passage, every document, and every secret room. "Amelia," he said quietly, "you've done it. You've uncovered everything." I looked around the building, every wall and floorboard now a witness to the truth. This building held the secrets for decades, but secrets cannot survive exposure. Helen's manipulations, my grandfather's protection, it all ends today. The authorities, the city, everyone will know. Ellie smiled faintly. "You've given the truth a voice. Nothing can hide it anymore." I exhaled, determination and relief mingling. And that's what matters. Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about revealing truth, breaking cycles, and allowing the past to no longer control the future. The lawyers and authorities gathered copies of the evidence, preparing for formal charges and public announcements. Media crews documented everything, ensuring the story would reach the public. Standing in the center of the building, surrounded by walls that had concealed decades of lies, I whispered to myself, "The past has spoken, the truth is free, and now it will guide the future." Months had passed since the public revelation. Helen and my grandfather were facing legal consequences, their influence no longer enough to shield them. The city had seen the full story, the hidden rooms, the letters, the blueprints, and the undeniable evidence of decades-long manipulation. Justice had been served, but more importantly, the truth had been acknowledged. I stood in the building one last time, walking through the corridors that had guided me to the full story. Every wall, every hidden room, every secret hatch had played its part in revealing the past. I felt a strange sense of closure, a weight lifting from my shoulders. Ellie joined me, smiling softly. "You did it, Amelia. You uncovered everything and brought the truth to light. And you did it without letting the past define you." I nodded, running my hand along the familiar walls. It wasn't just about exposing them, it was about freeing myself. For years, I carried the shadows of my father's death, Helen's manipulations, and my grandfather's control. Now, I can finally move forward without their chains holding me back. Marcus chimed in, "And the city will remember what you did. The building tells the story, and you made sure everyone could see it. That's remarkable." I smiled faintly, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and relief. It's remarkable because truth always has a way of coming out. It may take time, and it may be hidden behind walls and lies, but it will find its way. That's what this building taught me. The past cannot remain hidden forever. I paused in the center of the main hall, looking up at the high ceilings, the light filtering through the old windows. We have to remember that uncovering the truth isn't just about justice for the past. It's about creating a future where deception and control no longer hold power. It's about courage, the courage to face secrets, to confront the people who manipulate, and to trust that exposing the truth will set you free. Ellie placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "And you've inspired others to do the same. People will see this story and know that even the most complex webs of lies can be unraveled." I nodded. That's the message. No matter how long the shadows have stretched, no matter how powerful the ones hiding the truth seem, light can reach the darkest corners. Courage and persistence can break cycles of secrecy and abuse. That's the lesson I want to carry forward. Marcus looked around at the building one last time. "It's amazing. Every secret revealed, every piece of evidence documented, it all speaks to the strength and determination it took to get here." I took a deep breath, feeling the final closure wash over me. This building held the past. I've given it a voice. And now I'm free to move forward, not haunted by what happened, but empowered by the truth I've uncovered. Justice has been served, and life can finally begin again without fear, without shadows. I stepped outside, feeling the sun on my face. The city buzzed with life around me, oblivious to the hidden battles that had just been resolved. But I knew the truth was no longer hidden, and the past could no longer control me. Looking back one last time, I whispered to myself, "The walls have spoken. The truth is free, and so am I."